Yo, what is up, all you sexy ass niggas? It is your boy John Cena here. As you can see by the title, we have the ultimate sports tier list. So yes, we're gonna be ranking these sports based on a combination of watching them and also playing these sports, like how fun they are actually playing them and watching them. So remember that when I start ranking these sports, so people isn't like, so you're telling me baseball is more fun than dodge, like, that kind of thing. So remember, we're going to be ranking them based on playing them and also watching them. So with the first one here, we have Formula. I would say Formula could go in the C category or honestly go in the D category. I mean, to be honest, just watching cars driving around the track is pretty damn boring unless, niggas are getting flipped. Look, I know there's real humans inside these vehicles, but unless niggas are crashing, doing backflips, as long as people is okay, then that is probably the most entertaining part about it. I remember knowing people that was really, really into the sport and then being like, no, bro, I missed like the crash. No, they missed the car accident or whatever. Honestly, Formula, NASCAR, both of these are something that it's just kind of background noise. Like I remember being younger, and this was something my dad had on in the background just to have on the TV. Like I actually think anything racing related, NASCAR, Formula One, whatever you want to call it, F1, is golfing for hillbillies. So next on the list we have MMA. So MMA could either go A, of course, or B, depending on what fight it is. But a great MMA fight and actually doing the sport, let's be honest, it's definitely A tier. Now, don't get me wrong, some MMA fights can be very, very boring when you have two wrestlers that doesn't really like doing ground and pound and they just want to hump the nigga on the floor, that kind of thing. That's when it could go from a tier to like D, maybe C tier. But in terms of actually doing the sport and watching it on average, I would definitely say it has to go in A tier because let's be honest here. Yes, some people might be like, man, they be having no defense, why people be getting knocked out. But man, that's what makes it entertaining for the most part. Knockout. We want to see people fight like Rock'em Sock'em Robots. We want to see niggas getting knocked out, face planted onto the mat. Next up on the list, we have soccer. Now, soccer, this can be our football. This can be a little tricky because if you know the players and actually know the rules and all that, it can be probably fun for you to watch and actually play. But if you don't know anyone and you're just watching soccer just to watch it, this shit is probably ass, and it could go from C to actually D, but no higher than C in general. Because I mean, playing it could be cool, but that's about it. Like, no, seriously, if you don't know any players or know the rules, you're basically watching niggas run around for like 2 hours straight. And I like to look at soccer like edging. Have you ever watched a soccer game? Everyone that watch soccer or football knows it's like edging. I mean, people be about to score, they kick the ball, oh, and then they miss. And then they get closer, like 1-on-1, he's about to score, and then, he fucking miss. Or, he's about to score, oh, good kick, and the fucking goalkeeper just does an amazing play and just blocks the ball. It's like edging. Now, next up on the list, we have boxing. Now, boxing could also be another one of those tricky ones just because your average fight probably isn't as entertaining as your average MMA fight, but for the most part, it's probably your average boxing fight. Gonna go B, but for the most part, probably A. Just like MMA could go from A to B depending on what fight it is, but a top notch boxing fight definitely is going to A category, no doubt. Not even to mention actually doing the sport. There's no boring parts about fighting or combat sports, usually in general, unless you're doing like some kind of karate. That's probably the only martial arts that I would say can possibly be boring. But come on, boxing or MMA isn't boring to watch usually, nor is it boring to actually do. Now, people might say, dude, Floyd Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather. To be honest, he was never really boring to me. he would just defense first. Some people don't really like that. Some people want to see people sit there, no defense, just punching each other inside their head, see who's going to give each other CTE the fastest. But if you were to actually practice a sport, actually know what's going on, that defense stuff is just high level shit. And I never understood the whole boring part. But of course, to your casual and average viewer, they probably find it very, very boring, you know? But nothing combat sports or fighting related between people is actually boring. I mean, even go look at a bar fight. If you was out right now looking at somebody throw hands with each other, it's not going to be boring no matter how bad their technique is. But for the most part, those are probably going to be the only sports on this list that probably deserve A tier. Now, next up on the list, we have the NBA/basketball. Now, playing basketball is not really boring. The NBA, the past few years, I'm gonna be honest, this could go from B tier to maybe even C tier, just because over the years, I'm gonna be honest, basketball have actually gotten pretty damn boring. Like, realistically, I haven't been locked into an NBA season probably since 2021. Like, actually locked in. Of course, I've known over the years who have won the championship and things like that, but I haven't been actually locked into the sport, very, very active watching these basketball games in general, more likely since like 2020, since the bubble. And I will say 2021 also, just a little bit up in there. But in terms of right now, 2020, 2024, basketball isn't as fun to watch like the past few years. I mean, of course, LeBron, KD, all them players are still around. They're probably the only reason why it's not fucking D tier. But if you were to objectively look at a basketball over the years, since like 2022, it's pretty damn boring, and I'm not gonna lie, but we're gonna keep it at B tier because when the playoffs comes around, it gets, heated up just a little bit, and it's not too boring. Even if you don't even know the players, I think that's another thing. Nowadays, I don't even know a bunch of these players. Like, I remember the days when I knew every single top person that was coming into the NBA league. Now, if you were to ask me and be like, yo, man, I will pay you $500,000 if you were to name the top 5 draft picks over the past 2 or 3 years, I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't know. I know my boy LaMelo Ball though, but that was even like 2020, which proves my point even more. So I think it deserves at least a B tier because playoff stuff can heat up. Plus, it is pretty damn fun to play. Now, next up, we have the NFL. Football in general, I will say football, let's be honest, if you ever played football, there's no way you can say it's boring. But from an NFL standpoint, over the years, the game have gotten soft. I mean, you can't hit a nigga too hard without it drawing a flag. But let's be honest, in the United States, football is still the biggest sport. And when the Super Bowl comes around, people that never watch football the entire year is throwing a goddamn Super Bowl party. So, entertainment-wise, top of the top, it definitely has to go A tier with boxing and MMA. But for your average person that probably doesn't watch football, your average football game, I'm gonna be honest, is probably like B tier, something around there. It's still higher than the NBA for me, of course. But I would say for your average person, I think they would choose football over basketball. I mean, it's a little more physical, but I think the timeouts and the commercial breaks in terms of the NFL stuff could make it a little bit boring to like your casual person. But a great football game is definitely up there with MMA and boxing, no doubt. But I would still, of course, objectively speaking, you have to put MMA and boxing. A great MMA and boxing fight probably is still better than a great NFL football game. Just off entertainment alone, and you will know what's going on more in MMA and boxing than a casual person watching football, because there's tons of rules and points that goes into place that you wouldn't know. Watching boxing and MMA, you could be like that. If a nigga is getting beat up, who won the fight. With football, you'll be like, why the hell are they kicking a field goal? Like, what? You'll be wondering how the hell did they transition from scoring 6 points for a touchdown to now they're kicking a PAT to now they're kicking the ball again for kickoff. It'll probably have you confused if you didn't know any of this. For baseball, do I really have to make a whole thing about baseball? It is self-explanatory. It's damn baseball. It's going in the D category. I mean, even playing baseball, I play baseball. It's damn boring. From the youth days all the way up to high school, college, it does not matter. It's pretty damn boring. You're just sitting there chewing on tobacco, maybe eating sunflower seeds, eating something, eating something in a dugout, and you're just watching, your teammates at bat. And yes, it's boring. It doesn't even matter if you're on defense. It doesn't matter if you're playing shortstop, first base, whatever. It is boring. For the most part, you're sitting there. Now, the pitcher, of course, and the catcher are a little more into it. The catcher's throwing gang signs up to his pitcher so he knows which balls to throw and things like that. So, he might throw a whoop sign up at his pitcher, and he knows he has to throw a certain, ball a certain way. But if you're an outfielder, for the most part, goddamn, are you going to be bored out of your mind? You're just going to be sitting there for the most part doing absolutely nothing. Especially if you're in your youth days, you're really not going to be doing nothing if you play outfield. Now, in high school, people start hitting the ball a little bit further. College, of course, even in, the MLB, the professional league, but it's still pretty damn boring all around, from playing it to watching it. Now, the only exception is watching like the World Series, just because of the things that are at stake. And there's nothing like watching a person hit a home run with bases loaded in the World Series to win the game. And yeah, there's nothing better than watching someone hit a grand slam to win the goddamn World Series or win a playoff game in the World Series. But other than that, that shit is going in the D category because playing it and watching it is boring as hell. Now, hockey, NHL, this could either go C category or D. Over the years now, I'm gonna give it, I'm gonna be honest, bro. I'm gonna give it C or D, but just for this video, I'm gonna give it a D. Objective in this video, not trying to be too biased, but if we were to objectively look at hockey, let's be honest, my nigga, it is not very, very entertaining. I mean, of course, you could see people running into each other. Maybe the fights, they be squaring up a little bit sometimes and fighting. But other than that, it is not really entertaining. You would think hockey would be very, very entertaining because people's rolling around on ice skates and how dangerous that stuff is and how much skill it takes to do it. But for your average person, your casual watcher, they're probably going to turn that shit off in like maybe 30 seconds. But to be fair, I can't even rank it off of me actually doing the sport because I have never ice skated before. So I'm just going based off watching the NHL. So sorry to all my hockey lovers, but for the sake of this video, it has to go in the D tier, man. But I think I would rather watch hockey than baseball out of the playoffs, if that makes sense. Now to the next one. This last one, we have tennis. Now, tennis is also one of those ones where I'm going to be honest, it isn't boring. It isn't like watching soccer. I think I would rather watch tennis than soccer. Now, if you were to say would I rather watch tennis or basketball, even at this point, I think I'd rather watch basketball, but it is definitely better than F1 and soccer. Just being honest here. And even playing it, have you guys ever played tennis? I mean, it's not bad. I mean, it's hard as hell to get the technique down so you aren't hitting the ball goddamn 2 miles away and things like that. But the only thing with watching it is usually when we watch the women, they make like noises and stuff like that. That's probably about it. I mean, the men do also, but of course it sounds a little different when the women is playing in there, hitting the ball, going like back and forth. If you know anything about tennis or have watched tennis, you know about the noises. Now remember, we're basing this off of watching it on TV. Now if this was in person, I would definitely put it above the NBA. It might go A tier if I was talking about watching it in person, watching professionals play. But watching it with the combination of playing it, I would say high C. It's not really on the level of soccer, which is why I feel like it's high C. The other ones is like low C. And to be honest, without the crazy crashes and stuff like that, I think F1 could easily be in D tier. But with that being said, my niggas, that is the list. And that is it for the video. The ultimate sports tier list. Remember, this was a combination of playing the sport and also watching the sport. Let's be honest here, when you look at my list is pretty damn good. I think I got one of the best lists out there. I mean, objectively speaking. This wasn't even a subjective list on me personally what sports I will pick, because if it was me personally, I would probably have American football up there, probably number one, and then boxing, and then MMA. But over the years, probably MMA up there also in front of boxing. But F1, it definitely would not have been in the C category if I was thinking subjectively for the most part. It probably would have been in D tier because I'm not sitting there watching F1. But with that being said, my niggas, thank you guys for watching. Comment down below your thoughts. Comment down below what your tier list would look like in the comments. Hit that subscribe button for more commentary, tier list, gaming kind of videos, all kind of stuff, my niggas. Stay sexy, my niggas. It is your boy, John Cena, signing out. Peace.